This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with the daily wrestling news update. There's been a lot of podcasts on this channel today. I interviewed former WCW competitor Randy Hogan, which is a very interesting interview. He had some good stories to share, particularly about Rick Steiner and Vader and what the pay was like for enhancement talents in WCW and NWA, which apparently was more was more than WWE. Also, mobster Larry Mazza just did an interview on the Old School Shooters podcast, and on the Great North Wrestling podcast, he did a special Tuesday show with the original co-producer of the Ted Hart documentary, Kurt Spenrath. So he had some interesting stuff to say, including apparently the last footage of Samantha Fiddler that came out. Apparently she was in a photo with a pimp. So lots of controversy among those girls that are featured in there, with Ted, who's controversial himself. But I mean, the first girl who was referred to as his wife actually ran an escort service, and I've heard from people around Alberta that likely she may have also been involved with that. And the second girl that was living with him when it was two of them in the house also was an escort, apparently. We do know Samantha Fiddler was a stripper and went back to stripping before she went missing too, down in Miami, which, by the way, Miami is the opposite direction of Canada. And the girl in Texas, who seems to be a nice girl, had charges against her too. So there's some controversial stuff. But the one thing I think everyone can agree on is that producer made the documentary about himself, apparently lied about people, what the premise of the documentary was going to be, and stole some of this other guy's footage. And they were only shooting off and on for 10 years. It wasn't like every day for 10 years. It was sporadic. So it's worth watching this producer's version of it. Tom, I did work out today, but honestly, I'm going to get into the news. I'm still dealing with Piper being sick, so she was acting weird last night. So I just it's been draining energy wise for me lately, and I'm still extremely concerned about her. But let me get into the ratings, then I'll tell you guys the Kevin Owens stuff. Dynamite did a 0.32. The ratings are late, by the way, because of American Thanksgiving. SmackDown did a 0.54. Rampage did a 0.11. The Raw rating should be out tomorrow. Again, it's delayed because of Thanksgiving. Apparently, Roman Reigns was visibly upset backstage with Kevin Owens after he did what he perceived was an unplanned spot that involved Reigns possibly rupturing an eardrum. And according to Slam Wrestling, apparently it happened from a slap from Kevin Owens, which bruised his face, as well as the eardrum rupture. And Slam is reporting that Reigns let Kevin Owens know backstage. Wasn't pleased about what happened. So there you go on that. I think that did anyone think that Roman Reigns' team was not going to win that main event, though, to be honest? I mean, they just win every time. If you WWE fans are happy with this Roman Reigns tribal group just constantly winning in such a predictable manner and being shoved down people's throats week after week, good for you. But there was a reason I forgot about the Survivor Series. Apparently, X-Pac, Alundra Blaze, Road Dogg, and Molly Holly. Oh, sorry, man. Allergies. Have been announced for NXT this week. And Road Dogg actually came out last week. He said that another guy that I guess doesn't really like Owens much is Brock Lesnar, who refuses to work with him. Apparently, there was some controversy that Brian Kendrick was involved with producing the Survivor Series, various matches, and apparently it was Ronda Rousey, who Kendrick helped train, that requested him. Of course, I mean, as I've already talked about this, they did blackball him from AEW. He quit WWE to go to AEW. Then some footage from a shoot interview came out from like 11 or 12 years ago where he's talking David Icke conspiracy theories, reptilian aliens, and all kinds of weird stuff that stoners typically talk about, that it would be hard to take serious, because for the clip I watched, it would really be hard to think this isn't a guy that's stoned, just rambling on about conspiracy theories. But they dug it up, even though I don't think there's anything else of him saying weird stuff in the 11 years in between. And Brian Kendrick was banned from that match with Moxley, and AEW never used him. Strangely enough, AEW did sign those, what are they called? The Briscoe brothers, who can't even appear on TBS because of anti-gay comments they made in the past. But I guess anti-gay is less than a conspiracy theorist in Tony Khan's mind. But honestly, this guy just seems like a stoner babbling conspiracy theories. And it's not like there's like a documented history of him all over the internet over the past 11 years being whatever he was accused of. Anyways, I don't know the guy, but people are persecuted really badly these days for anything. Impact is making a big deal that Vital has been signed with their company and is openly gay. Didn't TNA have, what's his name? He wrestled the Ultimate Orlando Jordan before. So they've definitely had gay guys before, but I understand companies are all about like being politically correct these days, but I wish when they'd sign someone, they would talk about their highlights of their career or why this guy's going to be good for a company other than sexual orientation. Because why, unless we're watching them have sex, do we care if they're openly gay or not? Like, if I got signed Impact where they say I'm a heterosexual, Hannibal is heterosexual, and he's been signed. I don't know. It's just weird. There's going to be a tryout for college athletes. The WWE is doing this Wednesday and Thursday in Florida. They're still going down the path of signing wrestlers with no experience. And yeah, wrestling is just so bland these days. I don't mean to be negative, but wrestling is just so bland. At least we have the old school stories to keep us entertained and YouTube. Like I watched Randy Hogan versus Vader today. And that was more entertaining than anything I've seen watching the WWE or AEW highlights lately. Tom agrees, a bit predictable that the Tribe or whatever the freak they're called won. Joe Root saying hi from Boston. I've never actually been to Boston, but I imagine the food is very good there. Do wrestlers work? Hi. I can tell you in the PCW Ultra match that Sabu and I had, he had brought a vape pen with him since weed was legal in California and also in Vegas where he was from. And we were both having that from the time I did his shoot interview till the match. So I guess if you're wrestling someone that's also getting high, and you both don't care. I guess it's all good. Which that was a fine match. The next time we wrestled, I don't think he was high though, and that was a much more physical match. But yeah, I think I've told you guys I had some bad experiences with vivid dreams and unusual visions. Sorry, my dog is fucking freaking me out. She's walking weird still. The last two times that I'd actually had cans of weed with THC in them, and it freaked me out so much I completely stopped taking weed. I'm not saying if honestly I would never. Now that I don't have it, I don't feel any need for it. To be honest, I can't actually say that I would even want to have a puff if somebody had a puff for me. But I was never the type that would actually usually buy weed. Crystal Gardens, who was a fan of this channel, sent me a bunch of weed by mail. And my ex-wife had back issues. So she, even before weed was legal here in Canada, she was getting it under her coverage. So she had it medically covered in the house. Hello, Jade. Tom, do I also train wrestlers? I have trained wrestlers, but I have no interest in doing it anymore. Because when you're training wrestlers, they don't know how to take bumps. So if you're WWE and it's Shawn Michaels training wrestlers, as I've heard him say on the Logan Paul podcast, he has like guys that will act as tackling dummies and actually do the bumping. But when I was training wrestlers, I was like taking the bumps to show them how to do it. And in a typical training session, I was taking like the same amount of bumps that I would over the course of like 10 or 20 matches, and from people that didn't actually know how to do stuff properly. So I found I was getting injured. I think there was only one that stuck on with it. A guy named KL Shock after I trained him. There's a few in Puerto Rico that I trained, but I never kept in touch with them. And there has been some in Canada, but as I said, people don't stick with it, and then they stop paying you. Like they're paying monthly, and it's like, I'm not going to chase you guys down, and then I'm just taking beatings from you guys, and it's not fun. So yeah, it's not something I'll ever do again. And I haven't done it for a while either. I only did it when I really needed extra money. Tom, seeing Abdul the Butcher talk is more entertaining than most matches. Well, true. I have to agree. I did enjoy the Stampede Wrestling Tales from the Territories, and there is going to be a Dark Side of the Ring with Abdullah in season 3 that I'm going to be part of. So I'm looking forward to that. David, my dog is really scaring me. Sadly, the earliest we can get her into the cardiologist to see what's wrong with her heart is December 22nd. But yeah, she's been acting weird, and she's sleeping right now, but like she hasn't been walking normal, and I don't know. It's really traumatizing to me because I love her a lot, and she's not even 11 yet, and miniature poodles can live to be 15, 17, 19. So hopefully they can find out what's wrong with her at this cardiologist appointment. And yeah, she also has broken ribs from when I did CPR on her. Like, keep in mind, like she was actually pretty much dead a few weeks ago when she originally had her injury, and like I literally had to do CPR on her to revive her. And at various points, I thought she was actually dead, but I just remember doing the CPR training, and like as long as you could keep their air breathing somewhat and keep their heart pumping somewhat, they'll be okay. And we managed to keep her going until she got to the hospital. But yeah, it's been really tough. Anyways, I would to check out.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any